everyone, and welcome back to Queen Elizabeth, A Day in Her Life. It's time for the royal news. So let's see what's been going on around the date of October 28th, 2025. And I'll start off by saying it's a shame that King Charles and Queen Camilla's visit with the Pope in Rome is being overshadowed by Prince Andrew and all his baggage. The first story comes from The Telegraph. Prince Andrew hosted Epstein at Royal Lodge. Disgraced director Harry Weinstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were also seen at the reception held before Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday party. Prince Andrew hosted Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell at the Royal Lodge, it's been reported. Epstein and Maxwell visited the prince's home in 2006 ahead of Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday party, the BBC claimed on Tuesday. They are already known to have attended the masked birthday ball at Windsor Castle, where they were photographed in costume alongside Harvey Weinstein. But the BBC has now matched the photograph with other images of the Royal Lodge gardens, reporting that it shows them in the grounds. Epstein was known to have attended the 18th birthday celebrations in 2006, 2 months after a U.S. warrant had been issued for his arrest for the sexual assault of a minor. He was later jailed, with Prince Andrew going to visit him in New York after he was released. Asked about the party invitation in 2019, Prince Andrew told BBC Newsnight, "Certainly I wasn't aware when the invitation was issued what was going on in the United States, and I wasn't aware until the media picked up on it because he never said anything about it." The BBC now has quoted a witness who recalls seeing Weinstein and Epstein at a drinks reception in the back garden of the Royal Lodge ahead of Princess Beatrice's birthday, before guests traveled to nearby Windsor Castle for the main party. Royal Lodge has become the center of a long-running dispute between Prince Andrew and the King, whose aides have requested he leave. The prince has a cast-iron lease with the Crown Estate where he pays a peppercorn rent, having funded $8 million of renovations up front, meaning he cannot be evicted. He is currently in negotiations with the palace over alternative accommodation, including Frogmore Cottage. Despite reports that a settlement is close to being reached, Prince Andrew has not been seen in public since October the 3rd and has not officially conceded he will leave. The palace is understood to be also considering helping Sarah Ferguson, Prince Andrew's ex-wife, who has not been an official working royal since their divorce, to find a new home. Royal Lodge has a long royal history, including as a former home of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, the young Princess Elizabeth, later Elizabeth II. She had a playhouse in its garden. The Telegraph has approached Prince Andrew for comment. The second story is a long one, so this will be the second and the last story, and it comes from the Daily Mail, dated October the 28th, 2025, and it's titled William's Ultimatum, by Arthur Pashar, senior reporter for X. Prince William threatened to move the titles of Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie unless they pressured their disgraced father to move out of Royal Lodge, it has been claimed. Emily Matlis, the broadcaster who grilled Prince Andrew in his infamous Newsnight interview in 2019, claimed the Prince of Wales may have met the princesses to give them the ultimatum last week. It comes after their parents, Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, are understood to have finally agreed to move out of Royal Lodge, the mansion they have shared since 2008, amid scrutiny over their ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Fergie's friends told the Daily Mail last night how the former Duchess feels she has nowhere to go, or anyone else to go with, as negotiations rumble on over her and Andrew's future. But some in royal circles have pointed out the King has no legal responsibility towards Sarah, who has become somewhat of a lodge at her ex-husband's home for almost 2 decades. And yet another update to the saga, Matlis discussed the media circus that erupted outside Royal Lodge on Thursday night after journalists were tipped off about a possible development in the Prince Andrew scandal. Hinting at what could have been a bout, she told the News Agents podcast there was a question over whether there had been, earlier in the day, a meeting between Prince William and the princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, saying, "You guys have to get your dad to move out of Royal Lodge, otherwise we will start re-examining the state of your own titles." They are at the moment allowed to be princesses, but there was a bit of pressure, we understand, being put on the princesses to say this is going to happen. Obviously, you can see why Andrew as a father would want to keep their daughters happy and keep their titles in place, come what may. What we learned what was going to happen on Thursday was that Charles, fresh from the Vatican and his audience with the Pope, was going to come via Royal Lodge to be seen, in other words, reading the riot act to his brother. She said journalists had earlier in the day been tipped off by the palace that there may be passing traffic outside Royal Lodge, but further details were unclear. Matlis added nobody was going to film the conversation or see him stepping out of the car, but there was going to be the moment caught on camera of King Charles's car heading for Royal Lodge. What happened, I understand, was that the palace got very nervous, and when they saw the choppers and helicopters, they thought this has all got too big. This has got out of control. They canceled the whole thing. The king just went straight home and never came by. Buckingham Palace has been contacted for comment. In the latest twist of the saga, it's been suggested that the former Duke and Duchess of York have demanded royal officials provide 2 homes at Windsor if they are to move out of Royal Lodge, 1 for each of them. Andrew is said to have requested Harry and Meghan's former home, Frogmore Cottage, while Fergie is eyeing up nearby Adelaide Cottage, ahead of Prince William and Kate's departure next month. Sources close to the couple, who have been divorced for almost 30 years, have reacted angrily, however, to suggestions that they have demanded 2 homes, insisting the offer is misrepresentative of the truth and has in fact been on the table for months. It was an option put forward by the other side and at an early stage in negotiations, they claimed. Whether it's still on the table, I don't know, but the suggestion that they may have been demanded a new home each is misrepresentative of the truth. No demands have been made. People have been trying to come up with solutions. While Buckingham Palace declined to comment on the claims, insiders say they simply do not recognize this version of events, however. Sources have pointed out that the king may consider it prudent to keep Sarah in the fold rather than for her to consider another tell-all book. She has already brought out a memoir in 1996, the year she divorced Andrew, and then an autobiography in 2011. The king has also treated his former sister-in-law kindly in recent years, given her personal battles after being diagnosed with both breast and skin cancers. Sources with knowledge of Sarah's situation have described her as absolutely bereft and completely on the edge. She is said to be hugely embarrassed by the scandal, which has also come home to roost for her personally after the publication of a cringe-worthy email she wrote to disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein, apologizing profusely for disassociating herself from him publicly following his child sex conviction in 2008. It's also been claimed that she repeatedly pestered the billionaire pedophile for money to bail her out of personal and business debts. She is contrite and embarrassed, but also fears the scandal has fatally damaged her own business interests, including a number of new fictional books that are due to come out, a source said. People don't want to be associated with her anymore. The friend added, the honest truth is that she has nowhere to go and no one to go with if Andrew loses Royal Lodge. Her future is hanging in the balance. The king is a kind man, but his patience has been pushed to the limit. However, the last thing he also wants is another spare book, the one brought out by his own son, Prince Harry, in 2023. It could mark a bitter end for Andrew and Sarah, the former Duchess who once told the Daily Mail, "We are the happiest divorced couple in the world. We're divorced to each other, not from each other." Royal experts today said their desire to separate from one another proves their relationship has been symbiotic. Richard Fitzwilliams told the Daily Mail, "The relationship between them, as I've always seen, is a symbiotic in a sense. Remember the fake chic scandal when Sarah Ferguson was trying to sell access to Andrew for £500,000? It's lucrative for both of them to be together. The point is that this has been an arrangement of convenience to enable them to live at a certain level. They've kept the facade up very well. My feeling is that it was because they are extremely greedy. I think the problem was they desired a certain lifestyle, and this was the main way to get it. The arrangement has gone on since 2008 because it was mutually advantageous. But the point is, she's always been particularly traded on being the world's happiest divorced couple." The royal expert added that the couple who Sarah Ferguson boasted were the happiest divorced couple in the world, it seems they now want to separate. The reason is clearly that what made them perfect for each other after divorce and subsequent scandals and debts was that they were both greedy and entitled. Now this cover is blown, and they want to live apart. Now this cover is blown, and they want to live apart in two homes. The world can clearly see that the previous arrangement was designed to maximize the benefit of Andrew's public life for them privately. And another twist in the royal scandal, it emerged last week that Andrew has not paid rent on Royal Lodge Mansion for 2 decades, adding to the mounting public outrage over his perceived perks. Andrew has only paid peppercorn rent for the last 20 years, and while he initially tried to dig his heels in, citing the terms of his cast-iron lease with the Crown Estate, it is understood he will finally move out. The prince still has 50 years left on his prepaid lease, and it's not known exactly how much money he could receive in compensation for the $7.5 million he spent on Royal Lodge renovations. Mr. Fitzwilliams told the Daily Mail, "If they think having 2 homes, which the king I'm sure won't agree to, is likely to solve things, they're still living in a rather weird fantasy world. I'm surprised that Sarah Ferguson has managed these comebacks. There's no comeback now. She's in disgrace." The Queen's former press secretary, Dickie Arbiter, also questioned Andrew and Fergie's demands. "It's not up to the king to house Miss Ferguson," he said. It comes as Andrew may face the humiliating spectacle of MPs criticizing his lifestyle and living arrangements in the House of Commons. Plans are underway to give Parliament an opportunity to address the scandals surrounding the prince, including his friendship with Epstein. Andrew's brother, King Charles, has reportedly long wanted the ex-duke and the duchess out of the lodge, for which Andrew has paid only 1 peppercorn, if demanded, of rent a year since taking on the mansion. But their demands of 2 separate houses in return is set to spark fresh outrage. Exit talks over the duo's entanglement and the Epstein sex scandal continue. A friend told The Sun, "No one is really sure how it's going to go down at the palace yet." They added, "It's incredible that they're willing to go their separate ways, but it indicates they have been under immense strain this year and need a break from one another. It's a fresh start for both." Neither demanded that the property would need renovation or further protection of the taxpayers' expense, as both lie within Windsor Castle's security perimeter. Discussions are ongoing as to how much rent Andrew and Fergie would be charged, and it's unclear what would happen to the Royal Lodge if the pair were to move out, though insiders think a new tenant is likely to fund much-needed renovations. The government has refused to table a motion to discuss Andrew's situation because the royal family wants Parliament to focus on important issues. But a Lib Dem source indicated to the Sunday Times that the party could be prepared to use one of its opposition days to allow MPs to discuss Andrew's behavior. Andrew, who has the lease until 2078, has struggled to afford to keep the property going despite living there rent-free. The friend said, "Andrew is realistic and knows the writing is on the wall and that his time at Royal Lodge is up. But it would mark an enormous move for the pair, who, despite their divorce in 1996, have lived together at Royal Lodge since 2008, when Fergie moved in. A transfer to Frogmore and Adelaide, respectively, would see the duo part ways for the first time in nearly 20 years. The friends added, "They've been under immense strain this year and need a break from one another. It's a fresh start for both." The location of the properties just around the corner from each other would allow the pair to still see each other easily when they like, they said. And though Frogmore would have been too small for them to live together, the source added each house alone is big enough for their daughters and family to visit. Other friends have also said Fergie feels she deserves a royal residence of her own. The ex-duchess has previously confessed to feeling the pinch after her divorce settlement of between £600,000 and £800,000. Princess Diana, by contrast, is said to have bagged $17 million from her split from Charles in that same year. But Adelaide would not offer her the palatial scale she is used to at Royal Lodge. The listed Georgian mansion with its parkland setting boasts 40 hectares, or around 60 football pitches worth of grounds. Past the gated main entry, it offers a drawing room, conservatory, 7 bedrooms, and nearly 50-foot-long saloon. After a $7.5 million renovation when Andrew took over the lease from his grandmother, the Queen Mother, it would fetch up to $30 million pounds on the market. Adelaide, meanwhile, has been called a modest family home with 4 bedrooms. It was overhauled in 2015 with Kate and William moving straight in 3 years ago. But the work did not get rid of the property's period charm, with golden dolphins and rope from a 19th century royal yacht reportedly festooning the master bedroom. The main reception room, meanwhile, would offer a Greco-Egyptian fireplace for Fergie to warm herself by on cold winter nights. It's previously been the home of the group captain Peter Townsend, who the late Queen's sister Princess Margaret famously had an affair with. The property would likely go for around £6 million if put up for sale. Frogmore is similarly cozy, with 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and a nursery. The Grade 2 listed cottage, formed from 2 properties knocked into one, was given to the Sussexes in 2018 as a wedding present from the late Queen. Harry and Meghan spent £2.4 million of taxpayers' money renovating it with underfloor heating, a copper bath, barbecue, and vegan paint before paying it back. The couple stepped down as working royals in 2020 and left the UK for California shortly after. But they were reportedly kicked out of the property completely in 2023 after the prince published his explosive memoir, Spare. Palace previously said in summer there were no immediate plans for anyone to move in. The property would likely go for around £5 million if put on the market, or an eye-watering monthly rent of around £30,000. It comes after Andrew was offered a palace to retreat to by Abu Dhabi's ruler Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. But it's understood the ex-duke does not wish to leave Britain, where his daughters and grandchildren live. A Buckingham Palace spokesperson has previously declined to comment. The row over Royal Lodge comes after Andrew last week agreed to give up all his remaining royal titles amid the ongoing controversy around his friendship with convicted pedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein, who died in jail in 2019. He relinquished his dukedom, his membership of the Order of the Garter, the country's most ancient order of chivalry, and his position as Knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victoria Order. But while Andrew remains a prince, as the son of the late Queen, his ex-wife is now just plain Sarah Ferguson. The move saw the palace go a step further after Andrew was stripped of his HRH title and made to step down from public duties in 2022. It came after an excruciating week of headlines for the royal family, with damning new revelations in the posthumous memoir from Andrew's sex abuse accuser, Virginia Giuffre, who took her own life this year, aged 41. Nobody's Girl, a memoir of surviving abuse and fighting for justice, is scheduled for release in October, with the manuscript finished before she died. The explosive book revolves around her years spent as a sex slave to the pedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein and his British madam Ghislaine Maxwell. Extracts published by The Guardian show Miss Giuffre, who said she was trafficked by Epstein 3 times for sex with Andrew, calls the ex-duke entitled and viewing sex as his birthright. Within the 400-page autobiography, she also claims that the ex-duke said thank you in a clipped British accent after their alleged first encounter when she was 17. She also recalls how Ghislaine Maxwell heaped praise on her after the encounter, saying, "You did well. The prince had fun." Prince Andrew denied having sex with Miss Giuffre, but forked out millions in and out of court settlement in February 2022. The royal family had been prepared for the further scandal the book would likely cause, knowing it would be published this month. But a kind of tipping point came when scandalous emails from Andrew to Epstein were uncovered by the Mail on Sunday and a world exclusive last week, causing fears more are yet to emerge. In an astonishing message, the prince told the pedophile, "We are in this together," a day after the MOS released the infamous picture of the prince with his alleged then-teenage sex victim, Miss Giuffre. He said he was concerned about the impact this newspaper's revelations could have on his friend, but reassured the vile billionaire they would rise above press scrutiny. It was sent to Epstein 12 weeks after Andrew had supposedly ceased all contact with the convicted sex offender. The leaked emails provide definitive proof the prince lied in his car crash interview with BBC's Newsnight when he claimed he never had any contact with Epstein after the pair were famously pictured walking together in New York's Central Park in December 2010. The revelation comes just weeks after the former Duchess of York wrote Epstein a gushing message calling him her supreme friend, despite telling journalists she never would have anything to do with him again. Writing to Epstein on February 28, 2011, the day after the MOS published the now infamous picture of him with teenage Virginia Giuffre that led to his downfall, Andrew said, "I'm just as concerned for you. Don't worry about me. It would seem we are in this together, and we'll have to rise above it. Otherwise, keep in close touch, and we'll play some more soon." Andrew signed off with A, HRH, the Duke of York, KG. KG refers to Duke's Knight of the Garter, a prestigious position he has held since 2006, in which he retained until it was removed on Friday. The hugely embarrassing email heaped further pressure on the royal family to sever all ties with the disgraced ex-Yorks and raise fresh questions about their future at Royal Lodge. And eternal talks on the matter began weeks ago after Prince William was left seething by his uncle's behavior at the Duchess of Kent's funeral last month. Andrew was pictured sidling up to the Prince and Princess of Wales, which the heir to the throne saw as him being distracted from the ceremony. Number 10 has reportedly been pressuring the royals to deal with the scandal, which has run on for years and saw Andrew step back from public life in 2019. The intervention from Downing Street came after the prince was entangled in the ongoing Chinese spying probe. He was suspected of receiving sensitive information after meeting senior Beijing official Kai Qi at least 3 times in 2018 and 2019. After Andrew and his ex-wife agreed to relinquish their titles, Buckingham Palace released a statement on the prince's behalf. It's marked the first time it had spoken for him since his car crash Newsnight interview in 2019. The statement read, "In discussion with the King and my immediate and wider family, we have concluded the continued accusations about me distract from the work of His Majesty and the royal family. I have decided, as I always have, to put my duty and my family and country first. I stand by my decision 5 years ago to stand back from public life. With His Majesty's agreement, we feel I must now go a step further. I will therefore no longer use my title or the honors which have been conferred upon me. As I have said previously, I vigorously deny the accusations against me." So I will end the video here. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you haven't subscribed, if you could do so, it would help the channel to grow, as well as giving it a thumbs up. It's all a great help. And if you haven't clicked on the notification bell, if you could do that, it lets you know when a video is posted. More importantly, I want to wish everyone a good day, and tune in again soon for another episode of Queen Elizabeth, A Day in Her Life, the Royal News. Thank you. Bye.